With the month-long saga of Sony pushing or more so attempting to force the full digital era, it has left a lot of people upset and sharing their opinions everywhere, which after a few weeks made me think about overall how I personally felt, which is really the purpose of this video. But before we get into that, for those that are unaware or don't know what's going on, let me provide the information to either refresh your memory or bring you up to date. At the beginning of July, PlayStation released a statement that starting in January 2028, disc production will be discontinued and all new games will be officially digital. Many people have voiced strong opinions on the matter to the point that some are calling for a boycott of PlayStation by not playing or buying digital and also proposing a variety of other measures in hopes of forcing PlayStation's hand to reverse the decision. But after a few weeks of silence from PlayStation, they broke the silence during their recent earnings call where CFO Lin Tao was questioned about the recent decision and the backlash with her response, essentially doubling down on moving forward with the digital era, as well as saying things such as, "We're going to cautiously move forward," as well as giving justification for this decision by also saying, "There are various reasons we made this decision, the biggest being the digitalization of content overall has been progressing, not just for PlayStation, but for all kinds of content, and with the last notable quote being, "We put in a lot of thought and time, and we cautiously considered this, and we made this conclusion." Within the call, though, they also showed the unit sales metrics and that 82% of all games, microtransactions, as well as DLC were purchased digitally, which isn't the number obviously that people want to see or hear because it unfortunately shows that there is a method to the madness. Now that we've caught up in the story, what does this all mean? What are the truths and cons about all this? Well, for a starting point, let's talk about the overall digital landscape. We are indeed heading to a full digital world, which is unavoidable when looking at the bigger picture. When you look at the average person, how many people do install disc instead of going to the streaming services for their favorite show or movie? Or how many actually use Spotify or Apple Music instead of using vinyls or CD players? Now, before you go, redacted, aren't you running some defense for Sony? No, I just like to look at the full picture and all angles, which, to be fair, is nothing wrong with doing. Personally, I still have my metal cases from MW3 and COD Ghost for the 360. I'm also a Mass Effect diehard, so I have the physical copy of the Legendary Edition for the PS5. But even in other media, I collect all my physical stuff, such as manga, light novels, even Pokemon cards. I just liked having the actual thing in my hands. So, getting back on topic, we can see valid points from a business perspective to think about. But where I offer some pushback to those points is the issue that you will never truly own the games you play once you fully go digital. Most people willfully just buy games, download, play, and repeat without a second thought about just going about their life. But I wonder how many people actually understand that they don't truly own the digital game. Think about it. If PlayStation one day said they don't want a particular game on their platform anymore, if it's just a game you don't care about, then I guess who cares, right? To be fair, that's how I feel with certain games. Starfield, let's not get into that. But if it's your favorite game, like Mass Effect, if you have the physical copy like I do, then you're good. You're in safe hands. But for digital buyers, all you will get is on the screen just a simple, "You can't play this game anymore, buddy," and that's tough. Which is such an unfortunate thing for you, the consumer, but it's not like you can get your money back because you can't. Or it's not like they'll say, "Hey, we know you just lost the ability to play the game that you actually want to play. So here's a voucher for a new one. Just look at our catalog." Which where I think the true intentions come from, and that is the bottom line being the money. When PlayStation goes fully digital, one thing that I think will slowly disappear is sales. When you have an expensive hobby like gaming, the average gamer doesn't want to repeatedly spend $50 to $70 for every game they want. What helps though is when Xbox, Steam, or even PlayStation put sales on during like, the Summerfest, Christmas, Black Friday. Even for me, someone that uses Game Pass, even though I have my opinions on it at times, they sort of become a useful tool for me to play games without the hassle of spending more on games than I actually want to or actually can afford. But when PlayStation goes fully digital, do you think they will still put up sales on games like they do now, especially for PlayStation exclusive IPs? No. Now they're gonna try to get the maximum profit possible, which is why I got my PC last year. When I did that, I got Game Pass for $14 and I was able to play Expedition 33, Ninja Gaiden, and Football Manager 26 without a concern about my wallet, which trust me, I I say for that moment, it was worth the $14. Now, with the recent stuff going on, I'm not sure. But let me stop on that part because now it sounds like I'm sort of promoting Game Pass. And like I said, there's a little questionable things about them right now. So I promise I am pro consumer, which now brings me to the topic of how the community wants to boycott. I'm not against the idea of boycotting. I do believe in the vote with your wallet method. If you look at the very recent example that happened, NCAA with their gaming community, they really did a boycott and forced EA to stop with their money hungry tactics, which now reassures me and shows that gaming communities still can unite together for a better cause if they actually put their minds to it. My thoughts on it though are how much though will the impact be on Sony? I think sometimes we forget that Sony is a bigger entity than EA and smaller game franchises. It's just not just PlayStation. They're a bigger world out there. They have cameras, TVs, movies. Just recently, we talked about the financial success of Spider-Man, grossing $975 million worldwide. That's that's a lot. So if they see boycotting from PlayStation for just a week possible, I don't know how that's going to work. I think honestly, in my opinion, if you want to do a boycotting that affects Sony and actually makes them want to change, I think doing more than a week would actually do better. I think going for a month actually can put damage on them because PlayStation, we have to remember, is a much bigger audience than just an EA NCAA crowd. NCAA is probably like a couple 100,000 people. PlayStation, I think their numbers came out as like they found over 100 and something million. You're gonna need to do a bigger dent, especially when you find out that 83% of the purchases are digital. But I hope I'm wrong. I would really love to see that I'm wrong, and I'll eat cake for it. That's a crazy sentence. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll keep it in there. But I hope I'm wrong because I would like to see change quickly because I'm one of those people that actually like to keep the physical copies of everything I own. Now, do I think PlayStation will still push ahead no matter what? Honestly, yes, I do. I think their idea is to make the most amount of money possible while spending the least amount of money possible to get there. And to them, they see physical disc as an unnecessary expense, and instead of keeping that, they would rather move into the new era not only for PS5, but the eventual release of the PS6. Now, lastly, as I reflect on my own thoughts, I would like to keep seeing physical games, and I do admit I do contribute to the digital numbers. I play on PC, which that's basically a digital world. And unless it's a game I have high expectations for on the PS5, I just go digital like I did with Black Ops 2. I do miss the days though where they released special cases for games that came with extra stuff. I remember having Halo Reach Legendary Collection, and that came with the statue. I also remember when GTA 5 came out on Xbox 360 and it had the map that came with it. I still have that map now. And honestly, the absolute craziest part about all of this is looking forward at the PS6. Sony's trying to convince us that eliminating disc is about progress and innovation. But let's be real. If the next console is 100% digital, they completely control the pricing of every single piece of software on that machine. There is no GameStop to buy a used copy from, no trading with friends, and no marketplace competition. We aren't moving into the future. We are moving into a walled prison where Sony dictates the rules and we just have to hand our wallets. It's a brilliant business move for them, but a massive loss for everyone else. If you reach this part of the video, that means unfortunately we are at the end. But if you want to point something out that I've missed or just add to the discussion or just want to comment something random, please put it down in the comment section below. And as always, I'm yours truly, the name redacted, and please like, subscribe, and stick around for the next video. Thank you.